Steve-O, Hollywood Casino, Charlestown, West Virginia, coming up this weekend. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me, man.
Hey, of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the Crash and Burn Tour. What can fans who have followed your journey from, Jackass to your podcast to the YouTube channel, your life journey, everywhere in between, what can fans expect from this tour and from this show?
Well, it's like an extra naughty Jackass movie meets a stand-up comedy show in that it's a live comedy show, and the act is illustrated and punctuated with super naughty video assets. It's multimedia. And I go really, really hard. Over the years, I've become like a bona fide production company in my own right. So whatever this stuff I'm not allowed to film for Jackass is, I film it and bring it on the road as part of a multimedia comedy tour.
Awesome. So it's able to be kind of like some of those extra outtakes get kind of spliced into the storytelling of some of your live shows.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really outtakes. It's everything's filmed explicitly for this. I've been doing these multimedia comedy shows for some time now. It's dedicated for that, and it's a lot. I really go to war for these shows because the bar is just so high at this point.
Yeah, and I was going to say, comedy has obviously evolved so much over the years. And, you have been in it since, Jackass kicked off in, 2000 there with the early, that MTV kind of peak time. As comedy has evolved over the years, how have you seen kind of that creative process, kind of evolve as you've been kind of putting together your shows over the last several years?
I wonder, has comedy really evolved? I mean, I think traditional stand-up comedy, I think, is much the same as it ever was, right? Then there's different styles of comedy. Certainly Jackass earned a place in the comedy world. And what I've done is integrate stand-up with Jackass. And it's a format that I stumbled on organically. When I started doing stand-up, I was determined to just prove myself, establish myself as a stand-up. And I was going to lean into all my experience that I've had in life, with all the crazy Jackass stuff, and get material from telling stories in that vein. But as I went, I put out the first comedy special that I did. It was just me and a microphone. And then I started working on the next show, and I thought, man, I'm telling stories that happened on camera. What if I were to edit them in post-production? Then my next special could be a multimedia event, That worked super well. And then when I started working on the show after that, I knew that I no longer wanted to tell old stories. And I had all these crazy ideas that weren't allowed on Jackass. And I was like, man, I'm going to do that. So that was my bucket list tour. I'm sure that I came to Charlestown with that probably 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, for the last 2 years, I've been literally going to war to meet that bar that I set with the bucket list. And it's my Crash and Burn tour, and it's awesome.
Yeah. And that's honestly what I've admired about, your creativity and your work over the years is that authenticity. Like you said, you go to war for your work, but also you always keep that authentic Steve-O-ness to your work. You're never, faking it. Like, it's always you. And, you've kept that even ever since the earlier years, whenever you even went to, get your education, which, you went on to, get your, education there with the Ringling Brothers Clown School. I want to know, what is one lesson from those years that kind of still has helped you with surviving Hollywood, helping with time on the road, time on tour, putting together these shows with it being kind of that extra multimedia experience, and, with your time on Jackass?
First off, thank you. That's super kind. And I think it's fair. Really, I'm proud to agree that what I do with my art, my work, is authentic. And I'm super grateful. I'm super proud to have taken an approach to live comedy where I'm not trying to emulate anything. Like, it's 100% what I do. All that I came up with it all on my own. It's my whole deal. And so thank you for that. Now, borrowing from my past. The one thing that popped into my mind when you asked that question, my dad raised me with the one thing that really stuck out that he instilled in me was always under promise and over deliver.
Nice.
Which in this day and age, I think you could say that means don't clickbait. And that's something that I've always kind of taken pretty seriously. I think that's an important thing. Under promise and over deliver. Other than that, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm baffled as to how I'm still going, man. I'm a guy who never expected to see 30 years old, and all these years into it to be still going, still thriving. It's something else, man.
Yeah, it's awesome though. And, I'm curious, obviously you've got, your stand up, your podcast, your YouTube channel, everything that you're working on. What would you say is kind of your favorite way to connect with your fans that have kind of been with you, whether it be, since the very beginning or, some that have just kind of popped up and maybe have just learned about you from your podcast or from the YouTube channel, which by the way, great job with the whole, under promise and over deliver thing in a time where, clickbait is kind of the way that we produce content nowadays. And, with YouTube,
tough.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's tough, man. there are situations where it's really tempting to go with some thumbnail or some title that misrepresents the content. I think I do a pretty good job of avoiding that. But and what a fun, great question. Like what format do I like to make contact with my audience most? I would say that I think I'm genuinely just such an attention whore through and through at my core that it really doesn't matter as long as I make that connection. Now with that, I could say as well that it was super counterintuitive to me. Like I resisted getting into podcasting for many years because the approach that I've taken with my main YouTube channel, with my live comedy, with everything, is to just so super like obsess over like every little thing. Everything's just so highly edited. I mean, a basic YouTube video, I would like keep my outfit that I wore and like use it for pickup shots. I'd be like, so it would look like I just sat there one time, but in fact, like I'd been there like 5, 6, 7 times, like shooting just to tweak over every little bit. And the idea of a podcast where you just sit there and whatever happens, you don't make any edits and you just throw it out there and it's full form. I did resist that, but I'm glad I went with it, man, because podcasting has been it's been a pretty awesome thing. It's introduced me to a ton of awesome people. I think it's helped with my communication skills. It's reached a massive audience. I mean, everything about it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, the guests and people that you've been able to talk to and interact with have been fantastic. And I think, you get to hear their stories and you get to also obviously tell your story at the same exact time. You obviously, you've had a lot of, situations in life with life lessons. What's one life lesson that you may have learned the hard way that still makes you kind of laugh or look back on kind of over the last several years of your career and your life?
Man, what a great question that is. One thing that I've always struggled with is mortality. And the idea that like we're so afraid of dying that like we don't want to think about it. People kind of go through life with their blinders on, like, we don't want to even consider our mortality. But I think that at the end of the day, it's important to have lived the life that you'll want to have lived, when it comes to an end. So I think really, not avoiding thinking about dying and being proactive about how you live your life as if it were to be over super soon, I think is important.
Yeah, that's epic. You talk about life lessons. That's one heck of one. Yeah.
I think I would imagine a lot of people end up on their deathbed and they're like, dude, like, man, why didn't I think about this? Like, I could have this, I could have that,
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're trying to toy with like, man, like, could I do this? Or, I could do this, but man, like it could cost this, or, I would regret doing this. It's like, yeah, like, maybe just kind of live that like no regrets kind of lifestyle as much as you possibly can.
A lot of people ask me, sometimes they say, they'll ask for advice in getting into something, this and that. And I always tell them that I have the same advice for everybody, no matter what it is they're trying to pursue. And that is to do not wait for some kind of opportunity. Don't wait to be picked. Don't wait for the time to be right. Just start doing what you want to do. With one caveat that you want to be careful to find a way to ensure that you're learning the correct way. And if that means like find a mentor who's got more experience than you in what it is that you're trying to pursue. The one thing you don't want to do is get started and be going like the wrong way and have to unlearn things. But for the love of God, don't wait. Start doing it right away.
Yeah, I've always told people, like, when I go to college classes and stuff, like students will be like, what's one advice for like content creation and stuff? And I'm like, don't be afraid to suck. Like, just do stuff that sucks. Cause like, you're not going to immediately like put out stuff that's going to be incredible. Like the first couple of things are probably going to be bad. Like,
you nailed it right there. You nailed it right there because that's why it's so important to start right away and don't wait, because to get good at anything, I think you have to suck. You got a lot of sucking to get through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I got to know too about this, your love of animals as well, and this animal sanctuary project that you have as well, kind of on the side. Tell me a little bit about that, the inspiration behind that, and also, some of the animals that you kind of have around in your life. Which one kind of dominates in your life, on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I absolutely love animals. Thanks for bringing that up. I moved to Tennessee a couple of years ago. I've got a big 44-acre property. It's now officially registered as a 501c3 nonprofit animal sanctuary. It's called the Radical Ranch. My board of directors, we've been working tirelessly. Under the radar, we've still not launched publicly. We just want to be so meticulous and have all of our dot our I's and cross our T's. We expect to be fully public in January, this coming January 2026. In the meantime, I've been quietly raising money for it by giving tattoos to my fans at in each city that I go to on my tour.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I became a pretty prolific tattoo artist. I'm not going to say I'm great, but I will say with confidence, I'm better at giving tattoos than you would expect Steve-O to be. There's a special email that I've posted on my social media with instructions. If you want to get tattooed, if I'm coming to your city on my tour, send a design, like what it is that you want me to tattoo, along with how much you're willing to donate to the charity. And, pick, like, maybe this idea is super funny and like, oh God, I'm super willing to do that. Maybe somebody's got a generous donation and that's super worth it. But I've been doing that, and I also have a special skateboard designed with all the animals here at the ranch, and I sign all those and sell them 100% for charities. I've earned enough money for the charity that now there's all kinds of fencing going up to create new enclosures so that we can rescue all kinds of more animals. But at the moment, we just have goats and pigs and dogs and cats.
Nice. Part of our radio station right now is we are in the middle of getting started with our Christmas music. So I'm just curious, if you were to pick your Mount Rushmore of Christmas movies that are the go-tos that you're always watching around the Christmas season or the holiday season, which ones would you pick out of all of them?
Wow, I'm not the guy to ask that. Like, I'm generally, with some exceptions, but for the most part, I'm averse to fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a documentary guy, a docu-series guy. Like, I'm not really, like, I just scripted stuff I'm not super into. What do you got to go with, Christmas Vacation? Yeah, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Home Alone. We'll go with Home Alone, the first one. A Christmas Story, I suppose. It's a classic.
Yeah.
And then wasn't it one of the Die Hard movies?
Yes. Die Hard always gets pretty much thrown into the Christmas movie category, even though a lot of people debate it isn't, because there's only like 30 seconds of a mention of Christmas, I think, in it. But like,
Die Hard.
Love it. That's solid. That's a pretty decent like Mount Rushmore right there. I would pretty much align myself with the Mount Rushmore of that. Yeah.
My first three picks, I think, would fare well on Family Feud.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. And finally, of course, the big one, what is the one thing you would say to somebody that is thinking about stopping over there at Hollywood Casino in Charlestown coming up this weekend to come and see the Crash and Burn tour?
It's just as simple as this. Do you enjoy Jackass movies? Because, like, if you don't, then it's not for you. If you like Jackass movies, and if you, particularly the way that Jackass movies make certain people uncomfortable, like, I lean into that.
Yeah, I love it.
If you're a fan of Jackass, you're going to love my Crash and Burn tour. I'm very confident in saying that. And yeah, and I love doing it. It's a real joy for me to go out on stage with this show, because I just know, like, it's absurd how much work has gone into this show. Like, how much filming, how much high level stuff, like big budget stuff. I mean, just the first scene of the show was $70,000 for one day filming.
Man, that's epic.
Yeah, there were a lot of big budget shoots to make this a particularly special show.
That's awesome. Incredible. I mean, yeah, I love when you can, mesh together the comedy aspect with the just major multimedia experience of a show. And it's going to be one heck of a memorable experience. I'm stoked. Coming up this weekend, Hollywood Casino, Charlestown, West Virginia. Steve-O, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to chat. Really looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.